What's up, everyone? Welcome to the show, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Aaron Hepler, your host. You're listening to the In Camp Podcast. Here we talk all hunting, all fishing, and all the hard-earned lessons that keep us coming back season after season. Today, I'm joined by Victoria Friedges from She Goes Beyond. It's a newer podcast, actually kind of started around the same time this one did. I think you're going to really enjoy her conversation. She is highlighting women in the outdoors like nobody other in the space. I hope you enjoy this episode because it's a good one. This is In Camp Podcast. All right. This is the In Camp Podcast, and I am here with Victoria Friedges. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, lots of people, when I have to spell it over the phone, people are like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I'm like, yeah, I mean, just take your best guess.
I had you on because we kind of started in the podcasting space around the same time. I think I started sometime in March and you started in January, right?
Yeah. Yep. Second week of January or something.
So we both kind of are doing the same, I'm very into the deer hunting space, right?
Yeah.
But it's so saturated with the podcasting world is so saturated with deer hunting podcasts, and I don't like to just deer hunt. I like to fish for bluegills and muskies and bass and hunt for birds. I like to do it all.
Yeah.
So I really had you on because I think what you're doing from your platform, bringing all these awesome ladies into the space and talking about and highlighting them is so cool. And I'm a girl dad, so I like that there's role models. I'm super excited that there's people like you doing this kind of thing. And then you're talking about the versatile part of it too. That's way awesome. Tell me,
Okay.
what do you do for a living and what got you started in the outdoors?
Yeah. And I'm going to just be honest, I'm a preparation kind of girly, and this is hard to be on this side of things. I like to be the one asking the questions, but I'm going to do my best.
You're going to do fine.
So I grew up in Wisconsin. When you ask me how I got in the outdoors, I mean, I was in diapers running a trapline with my dad. I've been a part of the outdoors my entire life. That is who I am. It's been more recent that I've talked about it and shared it on social media in in more of a heavy way. I'm not someone who cares to share all of my secrets or all of my stories. And, they're special to me and they're special to my dad and to my husband and to my, super core group of people. But I don't know. It's just, you don't tell people you brush your teeth every night. You just do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. I just hunt and I just fish and have never really felt this need to shout it from the rooftops, I guess. But so I guess I'm kind of everywhere here, but my husband started a YouTube channel during COVID. Or right after COVID, we went to Canada. He wanted to record our trip, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, go for it. So he bought a bunch of GoPros, we recorded the whole trip, and then he just kept doing it. And now he does it for every single little thing. Right. So now we're just everyone is we're recording constantly. And it's just growing, which is so cool. And people love to see it. But probably last January, I was at a muskie show in Minnesota. And I realized that there was 1-2 other girls at this muskie show. And I was like, where are the ladies? What is going on? I know they're out there. I know there's people doing these things. Why are we not sharing it with one another? And then I just kept thinking, my husband grew this community with this YouTube channel, and he's got these guys that are his closest friends now. And I'm like, I want that. I have to just share my hunts with my dad and my husband. And while that's fun and great and truly the best, I want to be able to share that with other women. And I also feel as a woman, as a girl growing up, I got to lean on my dad, but not everyone has that either. So let's put this out into the world and have, like you said, your daughter, little girls see all of these amazing women. And it doesn't just have to be one thing. You don't have to just hunt. You don't just have to fish. You can also being just a girl and hunting and fishing. And I think that's really what pulled me too. So I feel that's lots of avenues with this. So it's hard for me to just say one thing, but truly I guess going back to the YouTube piece, like my husband wanted to get me involved in this, and I was like, not my thing. Like I hunt and I fish because I hunt and I fish. Like I
Uh-huh.
don't know that I don't know that I want to take so much time to set up cameras, and my time in the woods is the time that I get to just be me for a little
Uh-huh.
bit, and to add camera gear to that and set up and take down and all that, it's just such an extra level of anxiety.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure.
it's fine. It's fine. Let's do it. But so that's like one piece of it. So now I'm kind of like portraying really all the things that I'm doing in the outdoors. With the podcast, really that came from, like I said, like being at that muskie show, constantly seeing my husband have all these awesome dudes like talking to him, getting get-togethers with one another, and then I started joining these get-togethers like the muskie battle that they did in Wisconsin last year, and then again this year here in Minnesota, and I'm with all these guys, and I'm like, this is so cool, but like we need more women, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know how other women feel, but when I'm on scrolling socials and I see a girl who shot a big buck, I can comment, but like that doesn't really connect the two of you, right? So like I want to know about her. I want to learn about her. I want to know what makes her tick. Why does she like hunting? How
Yeah.
like who got her into that? Like you just asked me. You know, all these questions that I think are super valuable. And then at the end of my podcast, I like to do some like fun questions to really get to know the girl at her core, like what's your favorite boat snack, and like, you know, who's your, I don't know, like just random questions. And so I think that the podcast has really grown and people like it because it's just casual. It's not this like, I think Instagram and Facebook and all these socials kind of can portray someone as a certain thing. But you get a
Uh-huh.
girl in a room and you ask her some fun questions and like get to know her, like you really get to know these ladies. And the hunting industry is big, but it's actually really small, and like there's not very many of us. So like let's talk about it. Let's say who we are. Let's get together and let's be friends, because I just feel like there's not enough of that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The hunting industry in general, I mean, we're a minority all around, men and
Yeah.
women. And it is so funny when you go to shows like that or things like, the person from across the United States who's now here at your place. Like it's pretty wild how small it really is. And
Mhm.
even products in the hunting industry, everything's so small. Like nothing's, you know, I had some friends that ran like a trail camera company for 10 years, and they were always like trying to chase the next big box thing because they weren't that. And it is kind of a small community, and we don't I don't want to keep it that way, but we have to protect some things around that.
Mhm.
And that's something pretty unique to like what you're saying is like, hey, you went to a muskie show, there were only two women there. Well, there's plenty of women who fish, and they're, I mean, just by following you, there's plenty of women who muskie
Yeah.
fish, and they're really freaking good at it.
Yeah.
Um, I listened to your episode the other day with Aaron Wilson.
Uh-huh.
Wild,
She
wild.
she's so cool to talk to I just cannot even believe that there's it's not that I can't believe. It's so freaking awesome to hear that a girl decided to go be a scientist
Uh-huh.
specifically to study muskies. Like what? Like
Uh-huh.
you don't hear that. Like that needs to be shouted from the rooftops and shared with other people. Like people need to know what, and I don't like the women over here, guys over here. We're all one. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
segregate us by any means, but like I just think that we don't get the attention for the cool shit we do enough.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the important things that you said was it doesn't have to be your identity. Like you don't have to
Right.
say, I'm a hunter, I'm a fisherman. I mean, there are like there are a lot of things you can be. Like I'm a nurse, I'm a hunter, I'm a fisherman, I'm a dad. I'm a tinkerer, like
Yeah.
there's so much stuff that all of us do. And like I said, my daughter is 10. There were times where she was 3, where she was like, "Daddy, can you take me hunting?" Because their world is so small when they're that little. And she's kind of outgrown that. Like, she likes that I hunt, and she loves to eat venison, but really, at this point, she likes to go fishing, and that's about it. but she really loves to play with her friends, and she's never afraid to say, "Well, my dad does that." And I'm hoping that one day that translates to, hey, maybe I should take some interest in that just to spend time, and I'll ask her all the time if she wants to.
Mhm.
What's something that your dad did? I know you said you ran a trap line with your dad. What's something that your dad did that really kind of hooked you into getting into the outdoors
Yeah.
or hunting and fishing in general?
That's a really good question. Honestly, my dad has a really like soft spot for me. Like, or I have a soft spot for my dad, I should say, because I'm like kind of already coming to tears a little bit. But
I get that.
I don't know. I don't know if I can say like one thing that my dad ever did that said like to include me. I think he just always included me. I think
Hmm.
like, I'm literally telling you I was like 4 years old and he took me on this strap line. I was literally, okay, wait, I don't know if, or maybe I was still in diapers at that time. I don't know, whatever. But 4 years old, like going on a trap line, like, and the reason I remember this, I have to tell you a funny story. The reason I remember my age because my dad took me out there one time, and we live in a small town, and so he took me out on a strap line, and we were down near this creek, and we're probably quarter mile from like downtown, um, and he said, "I have to cross this creek. You need to stay here. I can't carry you and all of my traps and like my bucket and whatnot." And so I have never listened in my entire life, Aaron. And so I did not listen to him. And I got nervous. So he walked so far, I couldn't see him anymore. And as a little girl, maybe I actually could have seen him. Who knows? I was little, but I actually walked into town. So I walked into town. I crossed the main highway by myself. Oh, I'm shocked my dad is alive because my mom probably would have killed him. I can't imagine that conversation being an adult now. Like, can't imagine how that went. But anyways, cross the highway. And I was stood at the BP gas station. I just remember him coming and being like, "Victoria, I told you not to leave. Like, I told you to just, he thought I went in the river. Like, he thought I was gone." My poor
Oh
dad.
my
Anyways, the whole
goodness.
point of this is that's how I remember that we used to do the trap lines with him. But I think he always included me, Aaron. I think it was never an ask either. I think he just like, put me in the truck and we went. And like,
Yeah.
I didn't start bow hunting until college. So I've been a hardcore rifle hunter. We turkey hunted, all those things, bear hunted when I was young. And then I hit college and I missed sports. I missed all the things that I was doing. I was like a 5 sport girl in high school. Like I
Hmm.
struggled in college and I not a big drinker, not a huge partier, so I just like didn't know what to do with myself. And so my freshman year I got into bow hunting and I fell in love. Like new obsession. So instead of being obsessed with sports, I went into being obsessed with bow hunting and I just got a hand-me-down Matthews mission craze and just like went with it and I just like literally loved it. And I just traded that bow. Well, I still own it, but I bought a new bow this year. But yeah, and even then when I come up with this idea that I want to bow hunt, my dad's like, "Sure, like let's get you set up and get you in a stand." And like, he's kind of old fashioned too, so I don't know how to say this, but he just kind of like rolls with it, I guess. He's just like, "Yeah,
Hmm.
sure, like you got it, like you can do anything." Even when I shot my buck last week, I texted him and the story's awful. I hate to even tell it at some point, but I thought I missed the deer. And I
Hmm.
literally texted him and said, "I just missed that buck. I don't want to talk about it." And he goes, "Victoria, you don't miss, so I'm not even worried about it." So it's just like things like that. Like he constantly talks me up. He's not a big talker. He's a man of few words, but like
Hmm.
I know that he's always included me. I know that he's always wanted me to be out there and wanted me to have a good time. And I guess I have a sister too. And I think that I happen to get the crown of being dad's little boy. So I think that's part of
Hmm.
it too. I just, I took to it really quickly and wanted to be there. So he just always included me. So I think that was a bad answer, but I just think don't ask her. Just say, "Hey, let's go. Like, let's just do
Yeah.
it."
Well, and I have taken that approach, and I think it may have backfired for a little bit. You know what I mean? like
Yeah.
we like turkey hunt when we would go. I'd take her turkey hunting a lot, and she would like pick mayapple flowers and all that kind of stuff. And I just let her do whatever, like run the box call, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I just think the world is a little louder now than it used to be. You
Yeah.
know, I'm 37. The world was not nearly as loud when I was 10 years old.
No.
There's so much. I mean, we did like AOL Instant Messenger, and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But um, I'm happy that she is really into her friends and that kind of thing. And she loves to do everything. And she is into sports right now. She played volleyball this year, and that was great. And like I said, this year was an actual year where she was like, "Hey, Dad, we can we go fishing today?" And like that was the first time she's ever been like, "Hey." So that is something that really excites me.
Mhm.
And anytime I'm like, "Yep," and I'm canceling,
Yeah, you drop
yeah,
everything and get her out there.
yeah. And mostly it was because she wanted bluegills for lunch, but you know, whatever
She's got
it,
good taste.
yeah, whatever it takes. Um, so would you say you said that you really got into the archery scene in college? Is
Mhm.
that when you would say that you kind of transitioned from a beginner to really passionate about the sport?
That's a good question. I feel I feel like my passion for the sport has been there always. My willingness and push to learn more and
Mhm,
like you just said, at the beginning of this that you love whitetail and I grew up in okay, let me start back. My dad is old fashioned as I said. So it's always been very much like we own land. We go
mhm,
sit in our same box stand every year. We do the same food plots. We, all these like things that are very structured. He doesn't I wouldn't say that my dad's always trying to like learn the new thing. And
mhm,
so now the world that we live in now is very different. And to me, I like constantly want to push myself and learn things. And well, I have a lot going on, so it's really hard to push myself to do too much, but, like, I really want to learn new things, and I don't wanna ever be stagnant, and so I think actually within the last couple years so before the podcast, before really I got bigger into social media and things, like, 2 years ago, I shot a really nice deer with my bow. Then
mhm,
last year, I shot a decent sized buck with my bow, and I kinda, like I shot it, and I was like, "I'm super proud of myself always for taking a good shot and, whatever. But I kind of was like, Victoria, you can do better. Like, you don't need to shoot a basket 8. Like,
mhm,
you've done that. Like, that was really a pivotal moment for me of knowing, like, okay, this is the next step. Like, I don't need to, the hard thing is, Aaron, is we have 120 acres surrounded by other private land, which they all
mhm,
hunt, and I'm pretty sure they don't manage their deer. And then across the road is public. So it's like,
mhm,
as much as I'd love to be Lee and Tiffany and be able to like pass up a 120 and be like, yeah, that's for next year. That's not feasible because that deer's not going to be here next year. The
yep,
people during rifle season across the road, that deer is gone. So,
yeah,
and there's always going to be new deer that show up, but I finally I would say like last year, had like the pivotal moment and I was like, whoa, this just doesn't feel like it always has. So I would
mhm,
say that that's probably, I've always had the same love for it and the same like drive. Like every year since I can remember, I've sat all day, like all day the first, like the opening of like rifle season. Like I will sit all day Saturday, I will sit all day Sunday, give me enough snacks and I don't need to go inside. Like it's just something that I love to do. And then bow season came and like gosh, now this is more time that I can be in the woods and like
mhm,
sitting all day and things. So I think it just added to the love, I guess. But then last year that pivotal moment of being like you're a hunter and you can make a little bit better of decisions to, obviously support the management of deer a little bit, but yeah. Did that answer your question?
absolutely. I mean, there's always some kind of growth. Like, I feel like I'm going backwards a little bit, probably because I'm taking on a lot of things. I killed a tiny buck this year, right? He was not a tiny bodied buck by any means. He's probably almost 200 pounds, but I hunted private my whole life. Like, grew up hunting my best friend's farm. They had, oh, I don't know, it's like 350 acres altogether probably. But it was hunted by a lot of people, but I learned a lot from my dad and my uncle, like doing small parcel, like 5, 7 acre type things, whatever, and hunting on this farm. And my family is not big buck slayers. They're all like, before antler point restrictions in Pennsylvania, it was like, if there's a spike buck, it's getting shot,
Yeah.
like,
Well, you're
and
feeding the family, right?
yeah, absolutely. And them growing up, seeing a buck in Pennsylvania was like seeing a ghost, right? So public land was always like, oh, public land's so hard. There's no deer on it. And I appreciate both sides of it. When people manage their land and manage their herd and are passing deer up, and wanting to do something with their property to make a difference, even if
Mm-hmm.
it's 5 acres or 1,000 acres, whatever it is, I think that's really cool. And I think there's something really cool about taking advantage of the public lands that we have. Because you talked about not wanting to segregate men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we're talking about public lands and hunting, we all have to be an advocate. And you
Yeah.
know that there's been all these battles with public land recently about selling them off or changing regulations to destroy things that we all love. And whether or not you hunt private or public, it matters to you because you love to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And if people don't have access to land, it doesn't matter if you're on private or public, there will be no hunting one day.
Absolutely.
So as outdoors people, we all have to gather together as an army and not be the women hunters and the men hunters. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
to do that. You can sit in a tree stand probably way easier all day than I can because you're probably way more patient. So I started hunting public land now about 8 years ago. Seriously. I mean, I did like pheasants and all that kind of stuff on public,
Yeah.
but I started hunting deer on public land very seriously about 8 years ago, and I dove way down the rabbit hole of thermals and buck beds and all this stuff, and Dan Infalt and John Eberhard and all the things, the names that you hear. And I absolutely love it. I still hunt that farm. I still get doe tags for that farm, and if I have an opportunity at a nice buck, I will pass up little bucks on that farm all the time. And on occasion, I pass up little bucks on public land too. But I hunted a story this year instead of hunting a buck. The the state lands this year are very, like, the movement's very slow. And I'd love to say it's because I got like lackadaisical with scouting or it's my fault, but I have about 10 buddies who have not seen very many deer at all. And it's not because they're not there. Apparently there's new studies that say that the movement's down or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
But my wife and I found a spot, and I'm not going to go through this whole story because I'm doing like a little short solo episode for it. But
Yeah.
my wife and I got to find a spot together, and she was the one who's like, you need to hang a camera in there. You need to hang a camera in there. And it was kind of a unique place, and it made me pretty excited to try to hunt something in there. And this deer came down a trail 2 minutes after legal light in the morning, and I shot him straight through the heart, and he went 20 yards and toppled over, and I was ecstatic. I've done this thing where I did, this is kind of like an in-season scouting scenario. I did the shot 120. There's not a lot. I haven't killed a lot of big bucks, but I killed a couple 120-inch bucks on public land and worked really, really, really hard to shoot those specific bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need to have fun. And if that's for you, that's like, hey, I need to do better. And that can be fun too. Everybody's fun is a little bit different.
Absolutely.
What do you, what, what do you find makes this stuff fresh and new for you? Because that's why I killed that buck this year, because I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
keep it fresh and new.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. That's a great question. I think, like I said, making yourself new goals for sure. Like if you
Mhm.
can, and not everyone can. And I want to take a second to acknowledge what you said about 120-inch deer. Like that's a nice deer. Like we can't all shoot 200-inch deer. That's not a thing.
Mhm.
Like we
Mhm.
don't all have the opportunity. While that's great, and I think you made it very clear and did a great job at saying, I applaud everyone who hunts, either if it's public, private, can manage their deer, don't manage their deer, whatever you want to do. It's your land, it's your time, it's your story. I think that
Mhm.
that's important to remember that, everyone shot their deer because of something. So whether that's
Mhm.
feeding the family, whether it was for the antlers, like whatever. Um anyways, so I think what keeps it fresh for me, I can tell you one thing. Nothing is going to ever stop me from being out
Mhm.
there. Nothing is
Mhm.
ever going to take the spark away. Because it is the only one of the only things I look forward to every year. And I
Yeah.
think that's insane to say, but I could skip everything else. If you told me I couldn't go on vacations, I would be fine with that. Like just let me sit in my tree stand.
Mhm.
I think the other thing I haven't mentioned yet is that, like I said to you about how I grew up, is sitting in the same tree stand and doing the same thing every year. I'm finally at the point where I'm like, no, no, no. There's too much out there for me to be in one spot. Like,
Mhm.
I need to be making decisions based on wind, and I need to be making decisions based on like what we see these deer doing on our property. And like we have 120 acres. Like let's manage it. Like let's attempt at least. Like yeah, we're not going to pass up 120-inch deer, but like let's try to manage what we can. I don't need to shoot a fork or, basket eight. There's nothing wrong with it. But this year I know we have deer, right? So like I'm making decisions based on what we've seen all summer. What do I know I can get done? So instead of sitting in my very nice heated box stand this year, as I have always, I bought myself a ladder stand. I put it up myself with my husband and my dad, of course. And I put it on a food plot that I've seen deer just running through. So I'm like, no one's hunting this plot. My dad has his own stand that he sits in, and we're the only two that are bow hunting this property. And I'm like, I have other options, but this is where I want to be. And that's what I did. And so this is the first year. And with that comes other like exciting challenges and things that keep it fresh. Like I got to buy new gear because I have never had to sit out in the frigid cold air. And I am cold. So I do not want to be cold. I want to be able to sit out there all day because I know I mentally can. So as
Mhm.
long as my body isn't chilly, I know I can sit out there until, you know, until the moon
And
shines.
until it happens, yeah.
Right. So yeah, so I got to buy a whole new wardrobe, and I got to buy a new stand, and I have never felt more connected to the sport than sitting in that ladder stand. I told my husband last night, he's headed to northern Minnesota for rifle season, and I said, I think I'm going to hunt rifle out of that stand too. Like I just think that I want to be in that stand. Like it's just so, being outside, like being in the true open. And I watch the juries, and I watch other people, hunt, and most people do hunt out of an enclosed stand because it's helping so much with your movement and all these things. But
Oh, yeah.
man, was it so cool this entire season, my entire archery season this year, forcing myself to not be on my phone. I kept my phone mostly in my pocket. Like there was one day where it was pouring rain and I was on my phone quite a bit because I was literally losing my mind and I was freezing and it was bad. But outside of that, I kept my phone in my pocket. I got to see so many more bucks this year. Yes,
Mhm.
because I was in a different spot, but also because I like I think it's because truly I was it wasn't enclosed, I guess is what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say. I didn't have anything in my way. I can't imagine the amount of deer that haven't seen in my box stand, right? Like they're not glass. Like you only have so many windows. So I'm
Mhm.
sure I've missed my opportunities.
That whole part deserves a church clap. I mean, it the cool thing is that you're talking about is something that you go through as a like when you start really diving in a rabbit hole. So I did the same thing. I'm like going crazy now because this
No, I
is
love
this
it.
is a cool thing to talk about. My uncle was the only person in my family. Well, my dad was a little bit. They like to be mobile, right? They did the climber tree stands and
Mm-hmm.
very clunky and loud and whatever, very safe and comfortable, but clunky and loud. And this is the problem. They were mobile, but they sat in the same trees all the time. So we would go to 5 or 7 acre properties. Now my uncle's gotten a lot better at that. He's like, he moves. Like he doesn't, like he goes there and looks and then finds which one is going to be better next year. But when we would go to the farm, it'd be like, okay, well that's Rodney's stand and that's Andrew's stand, and like, and everybody had their spot. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is, Pennsylvania has this giant, like the tradition runs deep for the opening day of rifle season, right? And everybody has their spot. And there is something like a little nostalgic about going to a good old tree stand that you remember
Yes.
so well. And you like all those memories come flooding back. Like I was talking to people about them the other day, um, I killed like 8 bucks out of the same tree stand in rifle season. And I love every one of them. And some of them were like either really hard shots or, stories about like my buddy being so excited he was flying down the middle of a field in a F-150, 87 F-150 with the freaking hood bouncing up, or shooting a buck with my wife out of that stand. All those things are really cool to think about when you go to those places. But when you really start to shift and you want to start to see nature and the outdoors and deer do deer things, you'll find out real quick they know where your stand is.
Oh yeah.
So going into the public land thing, I'm really afraid of heights. So I got a giant, I started doing the like climbing sticks and a lock-on stand.
Yeah.
I got a Hawk Helium XL 34-inch, 25-pound stand and 4 32-inch sticks. I was carrying a 40-pound pack into public land like 3 miles. Not a good idea. It's
No.
not great, but we have all this stuff available now. I do the saddle thing now. We have
Yeah.
all this stuff available now. If you have the opportunity to put a handful of ladder stands on private land and shift them around every year, you are going to be blown away at how much more you get to see from everything, like every type of wildlife that's on that piece of property. It's real cool.
Well, and I think too, like I want to go back to the old fashioned ways of, I don't want to call my dad old, but like he and I don't even know how he decided where these stands should go, right? So
Uh-huh.
like there's my stand, there's my sister's stand, there's my sister's father-in-law's stand, there's my dad's stand. And then or
Uh-huh.
did I maybe already said my stand. But like, okay, why? And I'm over here like, and I think it probably drives my dad nuts now because I'm like, why? Tell me what you put in the food plot. Tell me all this stuff. Like, I want to know all of it because I want to go buy my own land and I want to do this. Like,
Uh-huh.
I want 500 acres and I want to manage this property and I want to put in my own food plots and I want to decide where these stands should go. And it's something I'm so passionate about that once again, I said I would sell everything to do that tomorrow if I could.
Uh-huh.
But I like, Dad, why did we put my stand over there?
Uh-huh.
And he would argue, Victoria, you shoot the biggest buck every year. Like, I don't know what you're complaining about, but I want to know why, right? Like, I'm sitting in this new area, and I mean, my first night out in the tree, Aaron, I've never in my life seen 2 bucks at once. I saw 2 bucks, and one of them was on my hit list, and I was like, I can't shoot this deer my first night. Like, I would cry. Like, I'd be so sad that it would all be done. And granted, I never saw that deer again, but like, like, just what you get to see when you're in the right spot because you chose something that you knew the deer were going to. And yeah, I mean, food plot's kind of like obvious, right? It's kind of obvious. I mean, maybe if they don't always have to go to that, but wow, was this food plot was hit all summer, all fall, and is still being hit. But yeah, I just made the decision to move, and it was like maybe the best decision as a hunter I've ever done. And now I'm just like eager to do it again. Like, now let's figure out where's the next spot going to go. Like, what else are we going to do?
Yeah, it is. It's an amazing learning curve because again, hunting this private private land. My best friend is his dad owns the farm, but he farms it
Mhm.
at this point now. And he kind of was like, he's become mobile on his own farm. Like he never sits. There's a couple like set stands that they have or whatever, but he almost never sits them. And when he started doing that and being like, hey, the wind is just not quite right for this specific trail, and I need to sit here because it gives me the advantage. It gives the deer almost an advantage, but not the advantage that it needs.
Mhm.
And that kind of thing. When you start with all this stuff, as you get into it further and further on moving around, and again, we're talking about something new, something fresh, like you learn that stuff so fast, and it's so fun. It's
Yeah,
so fun.
change it up. Change it up. Like I said, even like this year, I think that ladder stand is too close to the food plot. So like anytime a deer came in, especially my does, they just like shot their eyes right up at me, and I'm like, get out of here. Like
Mhm.
I don't want you here
So
either.
just shoot every one of you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So when we're talking about new and fresh, and I again, as much as I love whitetails, I love trying new things all the time. And I see that you are not just a whitetail hunter. Like you love to fish for muskies.
Mm.
Um, I know you've hunted bears and everything. What is something that you've learned from staying versatile, maybe from muskie fishing or from bear hunting, that made you a better hunter in general, maybe even a better deer hunter?
Ooh. So
I'm shooting from the hip now. I threw away my notes. They're no good.
no, I love it. I love it. Toss the notes. Um, Gosh, I feel like the one main thing I can say, and this isn't going to go to everyone, not everyone's going to be able to like sit with this, but I am a stubborn girl and I don't want to listen because I know everything. And not in a bad way. Like I'm hard on myself, and my dad has always been hard on me, and my mom, not in a bad way. They've always pushed me, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
I am the way that I am, is because I've always been pushed my entire life to do better, do more, keep pushing yourself. So I
Mm-hmm.
push myself. So my husband is a very good muskie fisherman, and I want to be in my tree stand. So when he decided that I'm also going to be muskie fishing with him, back in COVID. So what ultimately happened was COVID hit. His buddy couldn't go across the border because he didn't have I think his passport was expired. And
Uh-huh.
so he wasn't able to go. So Kyle's like, well, I don't want to go up to Eagle Lake by myself. Would you come with me?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, yes. And that's why he recorded it, because he thought I'd never go again. So he wanted to get it on film that I went to Canada with him. And I loved it. Loved it. I mean, why wouldn't I? I'm an outdoorsman. Like I
Uh-huh.
love being outside. I love being in the boat. And so my point of this is that something that has allowed me to kept me versatile and maybe made me a better hunter is listening to
Uh-huh.
other people. Like my husband, when we're in the boat and he said, you did this wrong, but I think I did it right. Victoria, you don't need to say it. Like just listen to what he said and you might catch a fish. Well, it happened this year in Canada. I don't know if I take it like if I'm just sensitive, and maybe I am, but every time he says something, I'm just like, you're always like harping on me. Like, come on, like leave me be. I'm good at this. And he's like, you could be better. Like, here's how you could be better. Like, if you would have done this, you would have caught that fish. So what did I do
Uh-huh.
the next time we got to a spot and I had a fish fall on the 8, and I did what he told me to do and I caught the fish. And yeah, of course, now he's got a big head because he knows that
Oh man.
that I listened to what he said. But I do think that that's true. And I think that, like, I think truly, and it's not that I've ever gone out here and I'm like, I am the best muskie fisherman in the world or I'm the best deer hunter in the world. No, I'm well aware that I know basically nothing. But
Uh-huh.
I'm willing to learn. I am willing to do the hard things. But I think the first thing I want to tell people is to listen to the people and listen to podcasts, watch YouTube, like
Uh-huh.
watching I mean, there's so many out there, but I follow so many accounts on Instagram. I have books in my Amazon cart to learn about food plots this winter and like things like that. Like just constantly be learning. And that's not for everyone. Like I have
Mhm.
this gross obsession with like deer and with being outside and like wanting to learn and wanting to do more and I want to shoot big bucks. Like I and not once again, if social media went away, I would still be this passionate. Like this
Mhm.
is the social media side is like very fresh for me and I I still don't know how much I like it, but like I love deer hunting and I do love being in the boat and muskie fishing. But yeah, did that answer your question?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no wrong or right answer here, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, I I mean, what you said is so true. The social media part of it, it really sucks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really, really good
Mhm.
because the people that really care, I mean, there's some really crappy YouTube channels and things that you can be like, "Oh, I can't believe that guy did that." Like, and like simple things like put the tongue in the deer's mouth. Come on. You know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever it happens to be. But there are some really good ones that are part of our army that are doing a really good job at highlighting being a sportsman.
Yeah.
And I love that part of it.
Mhm.
So if that's what it takes and everything's well, I talk about this a lot on podcasts. Okay. We end up talking about social media and then we talk about technology and all this stuff that's happening in hunting that a lot of people want to automatically jump to and say that it's ruining hunting. Well, it's going to if there's a whole bunch of divided sides on it.
Yeah.
Like people hate crossbows, people hate cell cameras, people hate finding a deer with a drone. I hate e-bikes, you know, like, uh, and I should put an asterisk on that. I hate e-bikes because I can't use e-bikes because they're not legal, but people use them all the time anyway. I hate that part.
That's a good
If
reason
I
then.
if I could use an e-bike, I would like an e-bike.
Mhm.
But, you know, and there's and stuff like forward facing sonar. People hate all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, if you hate it, it ain't going anywhere.
Mhm.
Neither is social media. Social media
Right.
is never going like it's not going to all of a sudden get banned. And
Mm.
if Instagram or Facebook did, there would be a new one to take its place.
Right.
It's not going away. So how do you take all this technology and social media? And I want to get your take on this. How do you take all these things that are coming into our world that are new and take the time to teach somebody new how to use them responsibly, how to use them as tools like they're meant to be used, not to take advantage of the person who's actually supposed to be their brother or sister in the sport or whatever it happens to be. How do you teach them to use it as a tool and be that kind of influence on them that says, like, hey, yeah, this technology is cool. Here's how you can use it to make it fair for everybody and to do it the right way.
Yeah, it's a great question. Okay, so from my perspective, from like social media, I'm kind of taking like a different turn on your question, but I think be the example. I think make
Uh-huh.
sure that whatever you're preaching, you practice too.
Uh-huh.
So whether that be conservation, handling a fish correctly, forward facing sonar, how are you using it? Are you, there's lots of things that can support the fisheries while using that. And you just have to learn and know those things. But I really think just being the advocate that you say you are. So, if you're going out there and you're crushing muskies at, whatever it is, whatever I don't even know, like it's what, when the fish are past like 25 feet or something below the surface, they say
Uh-huh.
don't whip them up or whatever. But like, I don't do it. If
Uh-huh.
you're like, if you know that, if you know those things and you care about the resource, like be that person that talks about it on your social media. That's a great, and I want to go back to what I said. Like, I don't love social media in the sense of like, because there's so much negativity on there, but social media
Uh-huh.
is the reason that I get to do what I do too. Like
Yeah.
I meet these girls through Instagram. Like that
Uh-huh.
is how I've connected with everyone. And that's how you and I connected. And
Yep.
it's such a beneficial tool. It's
Uh-huh.
just that there is so much crap on there that's like it's saturated, as you said in the beginning. Like social media is saturated too. There's just too much of it. Everyone's posting, everyone's an influencer. It's really hard to like know what to believe anymore. So I think being who you say you are and just being a role model to people, like when people come to my page, I want them to know that this is exactly who I am. You're
Mhm.
getting in person, you're getting the exact same girl who you got on the podcast, who you
Mhm.
saw on stories. Like I think that's really important. Back to the forward facing sonar stuff and like being honest with that and like what I believe. I think my husband actually is really passionate about this, and we don't have forward facing sonar. We have like
Mhm.
the other things that you can use on the boat to like, side view, side
Yeah.
imaging and things like that. But nothing that is like a video game on our boat to show you
Mhm.
right where a fish is. And do I think that it's the worst thing in the world? No, I think that maybe it's useful, but I think once again, being mindful of the resource and how you're using it, that's what needs to be taken into consideration. What I've heard mostly in the muskie industry is that there's there's kids, maybe grown adults too, buying these forward facing sonars and
Mhm.
going out and smashing big muskies. That looks great for a picture, buddy, but you don't understand how to even handle the fish, right? So like there's so
Right.
many things where like I think back to like my husband and a lot of our friends who have taken years to understand how muskies move and where muskies are, living and like all these things and how they behave. And then now there's this tool that you don't have to know anything. You just get
Mhm.
to go out there and catch fish. And it's once again, we're in this day and age where like, well, that this is how kids are going to learn is they're just going to go do it instead of actually having to learn what they should have learned to be knowledgeable about the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same thing, like the cell cam thing is big, and people are like, "Well, what about just being a dad?" Or and like, "Oh, you're taking away like the hunting part and the woodsmanship." Well, yeah, it does take away some of that part. But what about the time you went out to hang the camera? What about like the important part? Y It's not going anywhere unless every state happens to make them illegal, which isn't gonna happen. It's not going anywhere. So, how do you teach somebody to use this tool appropriately is you say, "Hey, you need to make morals for yourself because you can't really do it in some aspects. You could do this easier on, easy to access places or private land where you have a cell cam watching a food plot or, a trail crossing right next to a road or something where you see a deer pop on that camera and you can go and shoot that deer. It would be pretty hard to do that most of the time because, if you're a whitetail hunter, deer don't just stay there for an hour
Right.
waiting for you to get there. So it's always kind of a weird argument. But there are people who take advantage of things like that. And you instilling morals in people about how they're using their tools is is really what we need to be doing with those kinds of things. Because again, they're not going anywhere. So teach them how to use it the right way.
Yeah.
I think one cool thing about versatility in the outdoors and when you start thinking about all the different things you can do, like I want to do it all. Like I, I've elk hunted in Colorado and I haven't done a whole lot of out of state hunting, but a lot of fishing. Like I fish in New York a lot. I love bass fishing in New York. And now I have a buddy who also likes versatility and he's got a lot of things to do it. So now I'm predator hunting at night with thermal scopes and I'm bow fishing for stingrays and all this stuff. But I am learning that all those things do teach you about how to be a really well-rounded sportsman and learn different things. So I guess, I asked about some kind of similarities. Do you ever notice, so musky fishing is something that you love to do. Do you ever notice the way a muskie behaves is similar to the way a deer behaves? And because you fished for that muskie a certain way, it made you hunt this buck a certain way?
Mm. I think it all kind of goes back to maybe thinking about each animal and fish as like an individual too. I think that
Mhm.
they're each individual in how they act and like what they do. I think that musky fishing has taught me patience. Dear God, it has taught me patience because it is first of all, it's standing all day and you are
Uh-huh.
casting and you're casting heavy baits and you're like in the wind and you're wet and your hands are cold and like there's just all these things that teaches you resilience too because like where are you going to go? Like husband is going to be fishing for 10 hours. Like where are you going to go if you don't want to be here anymore? Like you just got to figure it out and be a big girl. Like
Yeah.
so I think gosh, I don't know. That's a really hard question to answer.
But now
I
you're gonna
think
think of it next time you're musky fishing.
yeah. Yeah. I think once again, it's kind of like when I get a fish in the figure eight, for example, I think it's very similar to when you pull your bow back. Like,
Mhm,
okay, what's your next move? Like, you have to wait for the deer to come in. Okay, well, you have to watch the fish just like you have to watch a buck. Like,
mhm,
you can't just, you can't do the same thing for every fish. Like, muskies,
mhm.
once again, are individuals and they're smart. So you have to decide based on the fish's speed, based on the fish's moves. Like, what are they doing? Are they coming in hot? Are they following your bait all the way into the eight? Did they dive away and they're coming back and you see them on the outskirts? Like, what's going on? Um, and then with deer, like it's kind of just kind of similar. Like you have to see like their movement patterns, of course, but like then when you have the deer in front of you, like what's it going to do? When are you going to take your shot? Are you going to stand? Are you going to sit? Are you going to when you pull your bow back, like where's your best shot? Those kinds of things. So I guess it's totally similar. And to me, musky fishing is hunting. Like
Mhm,
you have to find those fish where they're living. Same with
mhm.
bucks. Like you have to know where they're like where are they coming to? Like where are they crossing?
What do you think is something that's really accelerated your hunting learning curve in the last 3 years? Other than you learned that you should move around a little bit.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's my own drive. And I don't know if that's a good answer, but I really truly think it's my own drive to want to be better and want to do more. I think that I've shot a lot of deer. I've shot nice bucks. And what's next? Like
Mhm,
I don't necessarily need bigger or better. I just need the next challenge. Like what's going to make me better at what I'm doing? I can go out and I can sit in my tree stand and I can kill a deer.
mhm,
I know I can do those things. So what's going to challenge me?
mhm.
And once again, I don't think that that needs to be a big buck. I just think I need to do something different. And to your point about public land, I keep talking about private land, and that is something I'm comfortable with. And what I'm really trying to do is get myself uncomfortable. And so I really did try. I did try to get on public land this year, but it all came very fast and I didn't feel prepared. So I didn't do any public land hunting. However, I will tell you that next year you will see me on public land because that is something that I would like to do. Unless we hopefully have our own 500 plus acres that I can hunt on and I can manage. Other than that, I will be on public land.
You know, when you start public land, it's a good idea to start slow because it's a lot different. And um, I remember when I started, I'd like hunt these random places where I was like, oh, there's a buck rub there, so I'm gonna hunt there, you know. And as you learn, it's okay to give yourself a lot of grace when you're learning a new place that's fair game for everyone.
Mhm.
Especially when the area is not really in your comfort zone because maybe you haven't walk through the cover or the terrain or whatever it is, it's fine. Like nobody's keeping score about how many days you hunted public land versus how many days you hunted private land, and if they are,
Right.
they're a douchebag.
Yeah.
But
If they need a job.
they need a job real bad. What do you think outside of um, hunting and fishing? I guess what are the things that are outside of hunting and fishing that you've connected to hunting and fishing, whether it's your career or your faith or whatever it is? What's something that outside of those things, outside of the outdoors, has made you better at the outdoors or giving you, you know, reason to want to be better?
Hmm. Honestly, one thing I can say about that is getting to talk to other women in the industry or in, the outdoor industry as a whole, fishing, hunting, whatever, really makes you want to be a better human and a better outdoorsman. Like, and we're all pushed by people, I think, in our lives. And, what they say is spend time with people who are better than you because that will make you better. And
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that.
100%.
And I feel so, so lucky and so blessed to be able to talk to so many cool women who, whether they have 1,000 followers or 200,000, I don't care. Like, I don't care about that because what matters is like your knowledge and who you are and who you show up to be. And so I think, honestly, I think that's what I'm going to stick with. I think truly my answer is that other women have really pushed me to show the cool woman that I am because
Mm-hmm.
I've hidden myself, I think, for, you know, for a long time because it's just not something that I ever wanted to push. And so yeah, I just think that other women have really pushed me to do bigger and better.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely something about hunting and fishing and the things that we do outside that you do want to keep to yourself, whether it's like you want to keep a spot secret or whatever. But as your passion grows like yours has, I think you truly start to be like, well, I need to share this or it's not going to go anywhere. Like this
Hmm.
isn't going to be available for other people to experience the same thing.
Well, and as you said in the beginning that you have a daughter, and we don't have kids, and to be completely honest, I've never wanted kids, and so that's a
It's going
that's
to
a
ruin your hunting.
that's a conversation for a different time. But I there is nothing more that I want to see than a little girl seeing me talk about my passions and want
Mhm,
it to be her passions too. Like
mhm.
that is so when I say that other women have pushed me to want to do better and that's something that's from the outside that's really impacted who I am and like how I'm changing. I also want to do it for the next generation too. I
Yeah,
want the next generation to be able to see that there are women out here who care truly about the sport, not about the picture, and that
mhm.
truly love this love conservation and love learning and love pushing themselves and they can do it too.
Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely, so well said. It's the you know, it's funny because it's you can tell where you wanna give back. Like, you can tell that where you wanna put your stamp on in hunting, and I love that. And I will say there's so much stuff I can say about that, but the one thing I do wanna say is it's okay. People are as a parent, people are always like, "Why don't you have 2 kids?" I'm like, "'Cause I didn't want 2 kids, and we can't have 2 kids."
Hmm.
And people are like, "Well, how comes does your wife hunt?" I'm like, "No, she doesn't. It's not her thing, but she loves that I do." And, quite honestly, like, if she also hunted,
You'd be
that
poor.
means well, yeah, oh, yeah, for sure. Uh I mean, we already only eat venison pretty much, uh, but then I'd have to split my time. It was
Yeah.
like, who's watching the kid now? You watch and I'll go hunting and that wouldn't work for me, you know?
Hmm.
And I think, and that's again, that goes back to something it's all right to just be a girl. Like my wife loves that I hunt and I just took her out. We were pheasant hunting the other day. She loves to go watch our dog bird hunt. She loves it.
Yeah.
Like, and she she did not grow up in an outdoors family at all. Like they didn't camp, they didn't hike, not zero, right? And we got engaged on a 10-mile hike over a lookout. You know what I mean? And that's not something she would have ever done. So bringing these things like back for full circle is teaching the people who don't do these things how to love them because she never was like a she was like a I didn't care, she wasn't like an anti-hunter. She just like whatever people hunt. Now she loves it.
Yeah.
So even just her influence on people who don't hunt or maybe are anti-hunters that has known or whatever, she has something to say about it because she has a stance on it and she doesn't hunt. But she has a husband that does, and she can talk, and they're like, "Oh, well, your husband does? Well, I know your husband, like, he's a good guy." And then she can tell them, like, "Hey, what about all this, like, good, clean meat that we eat all the time?
Mm-hmm.
We eat venison all the time because beef is not that clean.
Yeah.
And honestly, after you get used to it, it's also not that good."
Yeah.
And there's so much more around that we're not just having an impact. You and I and the people in the industry are not just having an impact on the people that do what we do. We're having an impact on the people that could be against what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not they do it, we have to consider what they would prefer too. And I'm not saying like, oh, hide yourself. I'm saying like, yeah, maybe you should consider the picture that you took is maybe a little gruesome and you either need to fix it or don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
And share it with your close group of friends who understand it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because killing an animals can be gruesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I think to your point, knowledge is power. And so for
Uh-huh.
people who don't understand, being able to give them the space to learn and the space to understand is important. And like you said, I think there's a lot of stuff going on and probably always has in the industry of like getting the shot and like getting the reel to put on social media. And it's like, okay, but you're, I'm, I don't want to I don't want to say anything inappropriate, but like when we do those kinds of things, when we go above and beyond to get a certain reel or a certain photo, you make the hunting industry look bad. And I don't know, you don't have to agree or disagree. I don't want to like say anything controversial. I just think that there are so many people, and we have to remember that we are such a small group of conservationists and hunters, if you will, that we have to just we're put on a pedestal, to say it
Uh-huh.
frankly. We're put on a pedestal. We have to show up and show people why we do this truly.
Uh-huh.
The social media piece, going back to that, like it can get in the way of why we're truly out there, and just making sure that we're like doing it for the right reasons and making sure that we're showcasing that, because there are people out there who don't do it and you want to give them the right vibe. I'm all about vibes. And like if you were out there doing something wild, like your wife would probably not respect that, right? And like we want to be respected, and so you have to do respectful things.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I always tell her I could be at the bar,
Yeah.
uh, this, this has been a truly great conversation. I so this is a time where it's always ends up being a really hard transition. Um, I want to hear your story about your buck this year.
Mm.
Maybe you don't want to share it, but I want to hear it.
No, I will share it. I will share it. I do plan to put it on my podcast too, but I I will share it. And I also realized I didn't really explain who I was very well at the beginning. So if you want me to go back and talk a little bit more about myself, I sure can, even though I don't like
Yeah,
to.
go ahead. Like,
Sure, sure. So, like I said, grew up in Wisconsin, moved to Minnesota. My husband and I now live here. And I am a registered nurse as well. So when you said that, I was like, oh, I never even mentioned that I do that. But yeah, I'm a registered nurse. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. We have two golden retrievers.
what kind of nurse are you?
Oh, I am I currently a GI nurse.
Oh,
Colonoscopies, EGDs.
the poopy things.
That is correct. Yes. But I'm a nurse manager, so I don't really have to, I don't do
Oh,
any hands-on.
nice.
No hands-on stuff.
Have you been a nurse for long?
Yeah, since 2017. So decent amount of years, but
You're a baby nurse. It's okay.
yeah, I'm a little bit of a baby nurse. Yes. Yeah. And then, yeah, we have two golden retrievers. Those are our babies. Like I said, I love kids. We have friends and all of our friends have babies and children, and we have nieces and nephews, but it's just, like you said, who's not going hunting and who's not going fishing, because it's one of us, and I'm not ready to make that sacrifice yet. Yeah. Nose goes.
Not it.
Not it. But yeah, so yeah, things I would love to tell you a bunch of stuff that I love to do outside of work, but it's shooting my bow and hunting and working out and I
Same.
shoot photography, but that's maybe the only other thing that I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, we have a little boat and I love to go fishing, but hunting's definitely my thing. And I
Yeah.
love the bird dog. I love the bird dog. He's a great little
Oh,
bird.
we have one of our Goldens. His name's Copper.
Uh-huh.
He's 5 and he points all the time. And I'm like, shoot, you would have been a good bird dog. We don't bird hunt at all, but I was like, gosh, I wish we would have caught on to that at the beginning because he would have been great.
But you live in such a good state for it.
I know, I know.
You got a good wild pheasant population. But
Uh,
let's hear this deer story.
all right, deer story. Yes. So, I mean, my season was really great. Like I said, my first night out, I had 2 bucks out on the food plot, and one of them was my second hitless buck. And I was like, I can't do this the first night. I know I'd be so disappointed to not be able to hunt the rest of the season. So I got to sit there for the first time in my life with 2 bucks in front of me and watch. And that was a huge growth opportunity right there for me because, like I said, I've always been able to just go out there and shoot a nice deer and I just choose whatever buck comes to me and usually it's the first one I see cuz I'm trigger happy and I don't care about the biggest deer in the woods. I just want to shoot a deer cuz that's why I'm out there, right? And so to be able to sit there and have so an 8-pointer
Uh-huh.
came right to my feet and he was right there on the food plot and I was like, this is freaking awesome. And then this other big, beautiful outside of the ears deer. And what's cool about him is we called him Goofy because he had one really nice side of his rack, like
Uh-huh.
huge four points
Uh-huh.
over here. And then his other side was like, it's almost, he either injured it during growth or maybe this is how he's always been. We're not sure.
Uh-huh.
We haven't seen him before. But he just had a goofy side. So it didn't really grow in at all. Um, it like webbed, I guess you could say. Like it had a nice base, but then it webbed off and it like just didn't
Uh-huh.
have the uh just not no good growth after that.
Uh-huh.
But I got to sit there and watch them both eat on my food plot and I was like, this is heaven.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know what to say. This is just the best day of my entire life. And I got down that night and I have never driven so fast back to my dad's house and been like, I have a story for you. And I didn't even kill a buck. Like I just have the coolest story for you. And he's like, yeah, you're insane. But then, the rest of my hunt over the month of October was good too. Like I saw lots of different deer, some nice smaller bucks. And then I was taking vacation actually, um, the 29th and the 30th of October. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The the 30th and the 31st. I was going to take vacation and then if I had to, I was going to call in sick the next week if I still didn't have a deer. But I had went out on the 29th and my dad and I were, I filmed this entire hunt myself too. So
Oh, cool.
I have this whole hunt on film, self-recorded. And so we got in the truck that night and I was like, well, Dad, we're going back in. What do you have to say? And he's like, we're going to shoot a big one. And I was like, yeah, we are. Okay. And I was like, we kind of don't have anything else to say because we've been recording like for weeks and we obviously neither of us have a deer yet. But I went out to my stand. It was a really perfect night. It has been so windy this season. I can't even explain it. I know it's been wild for you guys over there too. It's just insane. I like
Uh-huh.
it's cold. Like I don't like stop the wind.
Yeah.
But just wild. But this night like was barely windy. It was really nice out. I had a couple does come in and then I actually had a happy hour with my team the next night. And I had kept telling them, I'm like, it's a 2.5 hour drive back to Minnesota. If I were to get a deer, I'll be at happy hour. Like I will.
Uh-huh.
But I really didn't think I would be because, what were the chances? So I had just sent a text message to a couple of the girls on my team and was sent like a selfie of me with my phone way down here because I'm trying not to move. And one of the girls goes, wow, you look really cozy. And I put my phone away and I'm sitting there and I'm basically my food plot is right in front of me and it's really long. So it's not
Uh-huh.
big and square, it's just really long. And then it goes straight up into a big ridge and then straight down to a pond. So
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting there and the bucks are literally, they come from every angle of this food plot. So I really don't ever know, like, other than like assuming that they're going to come from the opposite direction of the wind, I don't really know where they're going to come from. And so I'm sitting there watching, and all of a sudden I see, I mean, like I said, there's been no wind this evening. So I'm hearing footsteps everywhere. So I'm like, I will say that's something I've learned, to be very patient in the tree stand, is to never like look back, like where, like, where is that coming from? Because I want to know. And I've always been able to like make more movement than I can this year, being in a ladder stand. So I'm just being really patient. I'm like, if it's meant to be, it'll come in front of me, right? Like I'm gonna like slowly turn, I'm gonna look around, but if it's meant to be, it will be in front of me. Well, I look up, and this buck is coming down the ridge. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is a nice deer. Like, that is a nice deer. But in my head, it wasn't my shooter buck. So I'm like, okay, I need to make a decision, right? Like, if this deer comes in, I need to decide, am I going to shoot this deer? So he stops at the top of the ridge. So basically, I saw him. He walked about 10 yards and he stopped, and he stood there, Aaron, for 15 minutes. And I was like, what is he doing? And he just kept looking down towards the pond. And I was so confused. Well, out of nowhere, he books it. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what is going on? Well, here comes a bear. And a bear walks up over the ridge. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. This is going to ruin the whole night, because I just assumed it would ruin the whole night, right? And so this bear comes in and just comes down almost to the food plot. And I stand up, and bears can't see worth a crap. So I'm standing up and I'm like waving my hands, and I'm trying to be quiet because that deer could, any deer could be around. So I'm trying to be quiet, and this bear's like doesn't even care that I'm there. So I start grunting at it. So I take my grunt call and I grunting, and that got its attention, and it ran off. So I sit back down and I texted my dad, and I'm like, that bear just ruined my hunt. And he's like, just relax, like sit down and relax. And so I sit back down and I'm like, I literally thought to myself, I'm like, there's no way that deer comes back. So I just have to hope that another deer happens to walk through. I shit you not. 5 minutes later, that buck comes up over the ridge, and the sun was like shining, because it was just about to go down. Like, it was basically down. The sun was shining so perfectly that all I saw was that G3 on his right side. And I was like, oh my God, like, there is no way I don't shoot this deer. Like, he is beautiful. And he was drooling. Like, he was like, or maybe it was snot, I don't know, but he was just a mess. Like, he was like, I think it's because I was grunting. I think truly he came back to that
Got all
grunt
ticked
and
off. Yeah.
he's like, let's fight. What's going on up here? So he came back. So anyways, I saw that G3 sparkle in the sunshine, and I'm like, this is happening. Like, I can't not shoot this deer. And if I don't get excited about this deer, like, something's wrong with me. So, like, this is go time. So I get my bow ready, whatever. I sit forward, and he comes. He's taking his sweet time. Like, I'm sure he's waiting for another grunt, which I can't do because he's looking right at me. So he's coming down the ridge. He's really slow to move. And then he gets almost to the food plot, and he makes a hard right turn. Well, for him, it would be a left turn, but for me, a right turn. And I have no shooting lane to my right.
Oh,
no. None, zero. So, and I told my dad from the beginning, I'm like, I should cut down some of those branches. And he's like, nah, it'll be fine. Whatever. They cross his quote, they cross the whole food plot, Victoria. I'm like, Dad, you gotta be ready for everything. Like, come on. So
can't cut them all down.
Yeah. Yeah. So he takes a hard right, and I'm like, I have to pull back right now. Like, there is no other option. So I pull my bow back, and my release gets stuck in my grunt call. So, and I'm cool, calm, collected little clam here. I'm like, this is fine. Just figure it out. So I'm like taking my mouth, and I'm trying to get it off. And I'm at full draw with this frickin' string in my release, and I get it off. And thank God this deer just basically stood there while I did this. And I got it off, and then I couldn't, like, have the Fanatic jacket.
Uh-huh.
Right? Is that what it's called? Fanatic.
Sika. Yeah.
Sika, yeah, that Sika jacket, and it goes all the way up to your like halfway up your cheeks. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
get that down so that I can like feel my kisser button and all this stuff. And I get it down, and this deer, so he basically reaches back as I'm like putting the pin on his perfectly behind his front shoulder, and he leans his head back. And so because his body kind of scrunches, I ended
Uh-huh.
up shooting him far, like basically not really in the middle of his body, but like further back than I would have liked.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being a great shot. He went 50 yards, there was no issue. But like, so what happened was I shot, and I have always, so like I told you, I used to shoot a Mission Craze. And
Uh-huh.
that bow, I was pulling back like 43 pounds or something like that. And I could literally watch my arrow go from one end of something to the other because it's
Uh-huh.
not an accurate, efficient bow, right? And so I've always been able to watch my arrow go into my deer, and then I'd watch the deer run off with my arrow. Well, my arrow, I'm pulling back 50 pounds now. I have a very efficient bow and a good bow. And so my arrow went through the deer, but didn't exit. So
Oh.
I bought lighted knocks because I'm like, oh, this will be perfect. Like then I'll be able to like see where the deer goes. Oh, joke's on me. Joke's on
Uh,
me. So the arrow went all the way into him through the other side, but didn't, obviously I couldn't see the lighted knock. Okay, whatever. So he runs off, and he just takes off like a bat out of hell. So I thought I just scared him. Like I
uh-huh.
didn't think that I actually hit him because I was like so panicked by not being able to see my arrow. It was a very dramatic like 2 minutes for me. And which is very odd because I'm very like I was honestly I talked to myself the entire time I was pulling back, even though I got a little anxious with the string. I was still pretty collected. And I always tell myself, especially after I talk to Taylor Drury on the podcast, like I slow the game down. Slow the game down. There's no reason to rush. If this deer moves and you don't get a shot, you don't get a shot. Like that's it.
Uh-huh.
That's okay. You still have the rest of the season, right? And so I had all that going through my head, but when I shot, I don't know why I was so dramatic about it, but I literally look at the camera and I'm like, I just missed that deer. Like I missed that deer. I get down right away after I saw him run off. And I go to look for my arrow and I don't see an arrow. And I'm like, okay, maybe I missed him so well that it just went straight into the ground. And there's like, I just don't see it, right? And so I'm panicking that I just don't see the arrow. There's also leaves everywhere, of course. So whatever. I crawl back up in the tree, and that's when I texted my dad. I'm like, I just shot at this buck and I'm pretty sure I missed. And he's like, you didn't miss. Like you don't miss. Like how would you have missed this deer? And so I'm sitting there thinking back, and I'm like, wait a second, like there's no way I don't see my arrow down there. There's no blood. That's what made me nervous. He didn't kick. Like all of the bucks that I've ever killed have
Uh-huh.
always done the death kick. Like they
The
all,
mule kick.
yeah, the buck.
Yeah.
Like they buck and they, go. So like, or the mule kick. So I was like, how did he just like run like a bat out of hell? Anyways, so it was basically dark at this point because the sun was going down. So I get down from my tree after I packed everything up. I set my bow down, and I just like looked over the hill. Like I slowly like started to like look, and I didn't see anything. So I sat down and waited for my dad, and he was coming, and I'm like, I don't see any blood. I don't see the deer. Like, what do I do? Like, well, what? He's like, okay, let's just breathe for a second. Let's get your stuff. Let's walk over the hill. Let's go. So we started tracking where I thought he went. And literally, we basically crested the hill, and there was just a blood trail, like just huge blood trail. So basically, I don't shoot. I shoot fixed broadheads. I shoot G5 Montec broadheads. Like it's nothing fancy. It's something that I've always shot, and it works well for
Uh-huh.
me, and I haven't had a reason to change it. So
Don't.
that it just doesn't give you like, right, it just doesn't give you a big exit or enter hole. So you're not going to get this, like I'm not getting blood spraying from both sides. I never will.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, so we follow the blood trail, and of course we find him right at the bottom of the hill. So it was pretty cool, but just it's always a story. It's never just like, oh, the deer came in and I got a nice shot, and
It really never is.
no.
There's always something something weird that happens. I mean, it
Yeah.
kind of happened for me that way this year, where I thought I missed 2, actually, if I didn't say that, but
No, I don't
I
think.
thought I hit a rock because he took like 4 or 5 jumps, and I thought it was one of those things where they like jump and then they look around, like, what the heck was that, and then just walk off. And
Mhm.
I'm like, what happened? Like, where'd he go? Like, what happened? And next thing you know, he's like drunk deer walking around, and there's blood going every. And I shoot a small fixed blade. I shoot
Mhm.
Annihilator broadheads, and they're a 1/7 inch cut, so they're tiny. And there was blood everywhere. So
Mhm.
I thought I missed that deer too, though. So
Yeah. What a
it's always
sickening
something.
feeling. I've never really had to question it because like I said, I've always been able to be like, yep, that was a good shot. Like I just watched that arrow go in that deer and I watched it run away with my arrow in it. So like, but
Yeah.
to not see, and here's the thing too, like people are going to probably say like, well, follow your arrow. You know, I did. I thought I did. It was getting dark. Like there's like all these different aspects and I was anxious.
Yeah.
Like I was very nervous. I had so much time to kind of think and there's so much happened within 15 minutes that I just,
There is a different feeling from shooting. It's the same thing as like if you catch a 24-inch muskie versus a 50-inch muskie. There's a big difference in catching that fish. There's a
Mhm.
really big difference in shooting a 2.5-year-old basket rack 8-pointer to a 4.5 or 5.5-year-old buck. Like it's very, very different feeling. And
Oh,
you don't know what I'm saying until you've experienced it, you know?
all I have to
And
say is go ahead.
no,
I was just going to say, if you don't respect hunters to begin with, go pull a bow back when there is a a small buck in front of you, a big buck, whatever. The adrenaline that is pumping through your veins and everything you have to think of, you have to do it all right. Like
uh-huh,
everything has to go right for you to get this deer. So
uh-huh.
it's so respectable to me.
Yeah, and there are times where we have to make a decision that might be a little on the risky side, like should I take that shot or shouldn't? Like what Taylor Drury says is very true. Like you should do things to slow it down, but sometimes things happen where you need to make a split decision, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you're bow hunting. Um, and if you don't, and like it's obviously not life or death, but if you don't make the right one, you usually end up with a mistake. Especially if
Mm-hmm.
those are the times where that's where that respect comes in. Like it is not an easy thing to do ever to be a hunter, and I think nursing does a really good job at preparing us for that too.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
Ugh.
that's a good
But
call.
so Victoria, where can people find you? And when can we expect to see this video of you shooting this big buck? Because it's a beauty.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Victoria Friedges. That is my handle. No, nothing, no uppercases, no nothing. So just Victoria Friedges. And then my podcast is She Goes Beyond, and it is actually the handle on Instagram is She Goes Beyond the 8. Um, She Goes Beyond was already taken, unfortunately, and I did try to get it like removed because the person hasn't posted like ever, and I was like, oh dang it, like that would have been great to have that, but that's okay. And Beyond the 8 actually like kind of symbolizes my husband and I have a YouTube channel
Mhm.
called Beyond the 8, and so I just did a spinoff of that.
I think that's great. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you asking. Happy to be here.
Well, that's a wrap in camp. Thanks again for listening. Check out Victoria's links in the show notes on Apple and Spotify. Be sure to leave the show a rating and a review wherever you listen. It really helps the show reach more ears. You can follow the show at incamp_podcast on Instagram. If you want to hear something, you can DM me there or reach me at incamppodcast@gmail.com to send me any suggested topics or things that you would like to hear. Thanks again for listening week after week. This is In Camp Podcast.